Hi, boys and girls. Today we're going to learn to do a little bit of shading with a pencil to create some 3D forms that look like they're popping out at you. Some people see them as going in, but we're starting with flat 2D drawings, and by learning how to shade, we're going to be creating something like this. The supplies you'll need are the form that I gave you. I have a link on the YouTube for you to download and print one of these out. This is what it looks like when you print it out. It's blank. And then you need some pencils. Now, you need to probably have a few pencils as the point starts to wear down. And also, I'm going to suggest that you look for the pencils that make the darkest marks. These three pencils all look sort of like each other, but they're made from different companies. And what happens is that some of them are very light and some of them are very dark. And so pick the one that works, makes the darkest marks that you can. You probably have to scribble on a piece of scrap paper to find the one. But these three I found work pretty good for me. And you'll also need an eraser of some kind if you get some marks and smudges where you don't want them. So you need an eraser, the kind at the end of your pencil, or in my case, I wore it down, so I had to put these on there too. So by creating shading, we're going to make something look three-dimensional. Let's begin. On the bottom, the first thing that you have is a little chart. And if you don't have the numbers on the bottom, just start where the D, with a D, ML, VL, and W. 1, 2, 3, 4. D stands for dark. ML stands for middle light, which is a little bit lighter than this. Very light, and then white. And here's where we need to practice, because with shading you have to control how hard you press with the pencil. So the first one is actually pretty easy. The first one, we have to make this box the darkest we can with our pencil. So what you do is, I use the pencil on the side. It just seems to go quicker, and it also flattens it out so it's easier to fill in than using the point. Now with this one, fill in the whole box and make it very, very dark. You may have to go over it a few times, but it should be almost as black as you can make it. It'll never be truly black because the pencil is gray. That's the color. But if you go over it a few times, it'll get very dark. Excuse me, boys and girls. I sneezed there. Ladies and gentlemen, I sneezed. See, I have to go over it and press a little harder each time till it gets very dark. I have to fill in right to the edges there. Very, very dark. As dark as I can make that. I have to go over it 2, 3, 4 times. So it's really, really dark, and I'm pressing on this a bit. There. I think that's pretty dark. That would be the color that's number 1. Then the next one should still be dark, but not as dark as this. So you have to press a little bit less on your pencil, but it still should be a dark gray. These are called values. These gray values. A value is the lightness or darkness of a color. And we want a dark value here, but not as dark as that. We should definitely see a difference. So I'm not pressing quite as hard on the pencil, but I'm still getting quite a bit of gray in there. Quite a bit of gray. See? I'm making it a little darker. but not as dark as my first one, which is the darkest one of all, the darkest value of all. There we go. Can you see the difference? Dark, medium. Now this one should be a very light gray value. This one, as you all probably figured out, this one is white. Stays like this. This is the lightest one. So this one should be in between these two. So we need to keep our pencil pretty light, light touch, not too heavy. We want it to be almost white, but not quite. So keep your pencil light, a light touch, sort of like a feathery la 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 touch. You should definitely see that it's not white, and you should also see that it's lighter than this value. And this takes a little practice, boys and girls. I've had to sometimes erase the whole thing and start all over. But here we go. Can you see the difference? This is my darkest. This is my next darkest. This is almost my lightest, but not quite. And then this is white, the lightest. So we're going to do that. Now, in order to make this look three-dimensional, we're going to have to figure out first, we'll do the dark one first. The dark is number 1. So if you will follow me and make a very light number 1 where I'm showing you. Very light though, boys and girls, because we don't want it to show through at the end. 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1. This one is a mistake. This one should not be here, boys and girls. That is my mistake. Don't put I'm going to just scribble a little bit through it so you don't make my mistake. The other dark one should be here. Let's review. 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, and 1. There should be 8 of them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Remember, not that one. That is my error, my mistake. That's why I scribbled it out. And now we're ready to begin. Wherever you have the number 1, you have to make it this color, the darkest color you can. Now it takes a little while, boys and girls. I would not suggest using the point. Try and hold your pencil on the side a little bit and just fill it in, nice and dark. Pretty soon your pencil will get flat and it'll be much easier. It goes, see how quick it goes then? Once you get your pencil flat on that side, boy oh boy, and go over it a lot because it really has to be dark. Follow right up to the line. Don't go over it. If you go over it, erase until you have filled in over it and over it and over it till it is really, really dark. Follow exactly. Sometimes you have to go back over it right up to the edges. That's it. Keep going until it's very, very dark. I have a pencil sharpener with me because I'm wearing out my pencil. You may need to sharpen your pencils too. There we go. And each one of those where the number 1 is, you do it very dark until you have something. All right. And just continue all the way with the number ones. All the way with the number ones. All right? Good. Now you'll have this. Pardon my little smudges here. I made a copy of it, and all my little smudges showed. So now I think what we need to do is show ourselves where the white would be, because we don't want to touch the white. So let's look to see where to put the number 4s. Follow along with me. Make your number 4s light. Don't press hard because you have to erase them in the end. You notice you don't see any numbers in the finished ones. 4, 4, 4, 4. Again, 4, skip over 4. Skip 4, 4. Now the bottom row. 4, 4. I skipped over 4 and 4. I'll show you again. Number 4, number 4, number 4, number 4, number 4, and number 4. These we don't put anything in because they're going to be white. They're going to be white. Okay. So let's go on to number 2. Number 2 is the one that should look almost as dark, but not quite. Number 2 is the next to the darkest one. So let's do those now. Okay. Let's start with number 2 right here. 2, and 2. Let's fill these in right now. Now remember, this should be the next to the darkest one. It still should be pretty dark, but not as dark as the first one. And see, you can erase the number before you finish it, so it's not in the way. It should be dark, but not as dark as the first one. All your number 2s. Fill in all your number 2s. I'll do. Here we go. See? It's still pretty dark, you can see, but not as dark as the first one. Get right to the edges. Right to the edges, everybody. Right to those edges. There. We should see a real difference between the first one and the second one. You see on our finish? Here's the darkest. See that? Here's the darkest, and then here's the next darkest. And let's follow along. I'll give you the where to put the other 2s. The other 2 goes here, 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 and here. And the last one here and here. Good. This is white. This is dark. Very good. Dark. Once again, there should be 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So let's fill these in with the number 2s with the medium dark. I'm going to erase the number just before I fill it in so it doesn't show up where I'm doing it. There we go. Remember, it should be pretty dark, but not as dark as the first one. Get right to the edges, everybody. Right to those edges. There we go. And if you think the first one isn't dark enough, go over it again. till it's really, really dark. Here's number 2 here, number 2 here. Erase that number just before you do it so that it doesn't get in your way and show through your final design at the end. There we go. Notice I try and work in the same direction instead of a scribble scrabble. Sometimes as I get to the edge, I do have to change my direction a little bit. But then I try and blend it in. There we go. There we go. There we go. Get all of those in. Now once you do that, the last one is the lightest one of all next to white. Number 3 is very light, but not white. It's very light, but not white. It's lighter than this one, but it's not as light as white. So let's fill that one in. And that would be 3, 3, 3, 3. You can tell because all the numbers are taken now, so you only have these left. 3, 3, 3, and 3. 3's probably the hardest one to get. It's easy to press hard, and it's easy to leave it white. But when you have to get in between like this, that's really hard to do. You really have to press just enough to make a little gray value, but not enough as that, and certainly not the white. So this one's tricky. You may have to, don't forget, erase your number first. This is a very light one. Very light. Press very, very lightly on your pencil. Very lightly on number 3's. All right, very lightly. There we go. We don't want it to be as dark as number 1 or number 2. And it can't be as light as white. It's got to have a little bit of a gray. And when you're done doing that, boys and girls, you'll have all of your squares done. Remember, the white should be nice and clean. So if you get some smudges all over it, like I did, get your pencil eraser and just go over the white and make sure it's nice and clean. You need that light, bright white to act against the other colors for that three-dimensional look. Wherever it's white, make sure it's clean. Clean white. Really dark, dark. Dark, dark number 1. If you have to go over it again to make it darker, do that. That will help show up against your second value, which is still dark. Okay, boys and girls? It takes a while, it takes a lot of patience and a lot of pencil control, but once you learn how to do this, you'll be able to shade different forms to make them look three-dimensional. Bye.